I had a real interesting conversation with someone very close to me, a very prominent person in the solution-focused world, and we were talking about the way that we view our clients and like how that matters. And I thought about that a long time, and I think, we can talk about solution-focused brief therapy, and we can talk about like the skills it takes to do this and the techniques of solution-focused and all that stuff. But I think that it's also important that we talk about like how we view our clients matters. Like in the beginning of my teaching, I used to say that like you have to like your clients in order for this to work. And I don't describe it that way anymore. I think what I was trying to say way back then was you have to see positive in your client. Not that they are positive, or not that like everybody is all great or anything like that. I don't mean to say you have to see people through like rose-colored glasses, but you have to see positive in them in order to get positive out. Like in order for you to have a conversation about change, you have to be able to see the person is capable of change. A really great example that most people are familiar with in the movie Star Wars is Luke Skywalker, who I now believe Star Wars is like the most solution-focused movie ever. But you have Luke Skywalker saw good in Darth Vader, and he made several decisions throughout the 3-movie saga based upon, I know there's good in him. So you have to see good in people. And I want to tell you guys about the hardest time, I want to tell you about the hardest time I ever experienced seeing good in someone and why it matters. So as you can see, I'm an African-American, I'm a black man. And one day I walked into my lobby to see a couple I'd never seen before. And like as I was approaching the lobby, I could hear bickering, and I knew it was a couple I'd never seen. There's a door to the lobby that closes, and I opened the door, and the husband in the relationship looks at me and turns to his wife and says, "You didn't tell me he was an N-word," and he said the word. And I was like floored. I mean, I was devastated to hear that. The wife looks at me and starts crying. I said, "Excuse me for a second." I closed the door and I went back into my office, and I just started thinking. And to be honest with you, I was mad. I was like, I'm gonna kick this dude's ass out of my office. I was really mad. I was really frustrated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle this situation. Situation I'd never been in before or since, for that matter. And I started thinking about my grandmother. And what came into my mind in that moment was I remember a time when I was a kid. I was about 8 years old, and I was with my grandmother in Chicago and a couple of cousins, and a really racist incident happened. And somebody made a really racist comment to my grandmother about all these black kids that she was with, me and my cousins. And my grandmother held the door open for the person where this situation happened. I remember asking my grandmother, 8 years old, I asked my grandmother why she treated someone like that. And my grandmother said, "Never let someone, no matter how vicious or terrible they seem, never let them cause you to forget they're a child of God. Always treat people with the integrity that you possess, not necessarily with the integrity that they possess." So here I am in my office, having just had that incident happen, and that thought went through my mind, like that lesson from my grandmother. And I walked back into my lobby, and I said, so obviously that was an uncomfortable situation, and I won't pretend that it wasn't, but if you guys are still interested in therapy, I'm happy to do it. The woman is now crying. The husband looks frustrated. The husband says, "Yeah, I guess so," and the woman wipes her tears and doesn't say anything. She gets up and walks in my office, and they walked in my office, and I said, "What are you best for?" and talking, and did the session. Now, the reason why I'm sharing that with you guys now is because if I view this person as like a bigot or a bad, angry person, then it becomes very difficult for me to ask this person questions about the process of change. It becomes very hard for me to believe in them and do my job as a therapist. But if I treat this person based upon what my grandmother taught me all those years ago, treat people from my position of integrity, and not from his position, then I could view him as, just as my grandmother instructed, as a child of God. And I believe everybody, even horrible, bigoted people, deserve good therapy, and I could do my best to provide it. And I think it's important that we recognize that in order to do solution-focused brief therapy well, and in fact, forget solution-focused, in order to be a good helper, I have to view people through the lens of agency. I have to view people as deserving of help. I have to view people as capable, or I can't do this job. So we have to be aware of our own biases and the way that they show up in the therapy. And after that conversation, I was just thinking about my grandmother and that lesson I learned, and that experience that I had being a black man practicing psychotherapy at my private practice here in Texas. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you. I hope you benefit from it. Because I want you guys to remember, like, we got to be aware of our biases. And if you can't, then, like, send someone away. I could have said to that client, I'm not willing to see you, and send this one away. And that would have also been an integral thing. But what I can't do is just allow my biases to show up in therapy unaware, because then I'm not being the best therapist I can be. And there's no way that I can, like, do solution-focused brief therapy with those biases present. Like, the language of solution focus is important, but where it comes from, the language is guided by our assumptions, and it's important that we always remember that. So hope that helps. So look, follow me on social media at ElliotSpeaks.com, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at ElliotSpeaks.com. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please give me a like, comment, share on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when I share more videos. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Fist bump.